There we go.
Teamwork.
Alrighty, let's see. We're doing Let's Chat Music today. We've got a bunch of awesome people here who are very professional in the music industry. We're all local to the Mornington Peninsula. So we're expecting a lot of locals to jump on board, ask us questions, anything to do with music. It's really casual here. We might just see if anyone jumps on board before we get started. Sometimes it takes a couple of minutes. Hey, Jai, how you going? Jai's on board. Jai's a poet. He's very creative. So we might get started. We might get started only because we've got...
Lucky's going to play a song, looks like.
There you go.
We might start off, anyone can rewind. So if you've missed any of the beginning, you're quite welcome to rewind and rewind this video and listen back. Oh, there we go.
It almost had a jam.
So
Hey.
to start the conversation, what we might do, guys. Hi, gang. Hi, Mary. How you going?
Okay.
I can see all the comments here, so I'll just keep talking. What we might do to start off with is get everyone to introduce themselves. So on my screen to my left, I have Brendan. Would you like to say something about yourself? You know what you do. You're a musician. We know that.
Fake it till you make it. But yeah, yeah, I'm Brendan Malaire or Spud Thompson or part of the players or audio tech kind of guy, nerdy computer man.
What we might do to start off with is get everyone to introduce them.
I guess, yeah.
On my screen.
Kind of a little bit of a jack of all trades, but master of none.
Cool.
Yeah, I kind of just like learning everything. Yeah.
Tell us, actually, we'll go into this a little bit later. We'll go around. What about Chris? We've got Chris down here, Chris James. I'll just unmute Chris. Yeah.
Howdy. I guess I'm a bit of a fake it till you make it as well. Muso Scallywag from the Mornington Peninsula. Also do guitar teaching at pretty locally from around the Red Hill area. And yeah, I just love playing guitar and I love singing and playing songs and playing gigs. And at the moment, that's really a bit tricky at the moment. So yeah, hopefully this can all end and venues can open. Unfortunately, I feel like we're going to be one of the last industries to kick back up, but hopefully that's not too far away.
We're just going to keep going. Look, this is a test. This is our first little chat session.
And it's up.
If you've got a question, make sure you start putting questions in the chat. We've got a few people on board following those, and we're happy to answer them the best we can. We'll be getting different people jumping on board. I'm sure there'll be other chats like this. So if there's anyone that thinks that they could jump on board and give some really good advice, let us know because we might be able to get you in the next chat. Also, we've got a few people lined up for another chat, so it'll happen. Let's move to, so thanks, Chris. Thanks, Brendan. Let's move to Marty.
Yeah, I'm a singer-songwriter and organizer of a lot of community events, but also bring music into a really great space in the middle of the peninsula where people come to bathe in hot springs. So I look after music at the hot springs, which is obviously very, very closed at the moment. And everyone's been stood down except for some construction people and some gardening crew. So yeah, it's been an interesting time to not be playing live, to be not really in touch with the artists, just managing the end of that phase of putting on gigs at the Yacht Club in Balnarring, the Peninsula Songwriters, and that's when I sort of discovered or joined in that weekly Sing Up, which became a regular thing for me over the last sort of 6 or 7 weeks. But I can talk about that later. So yeah, I'm a singer-songwriter and enjoying this new way of connecting directly with the audience around the world.
Yeah, well, I honestly,
Can you hear me? I can't hear you, Heidi.
Oh, I've turned myself down because everyone's told me to turn myself down.
You're so loud.
No, put it back to how it was.
I'll talk a bit louder. When I first started and joined the music industry, Marty, you were my first person. I think you were running Baja's songwriter night, and you were the person that actually really inspired me to push my songwriting.
Awesome.
So, thank you.
Great.
I'm much the same as well. I just might say, because when I was a youngling, Marty was running the Balnarring Muso Night, which I'm currently hosting.
Yeah.
And Marty was a big inspiration for me in a band that I used to play in, just getting up there and giving it a go. And I don't think if it wasn't for that night and really being inspired to keep playing and pushing, even though we probably sounded like crud at the time, I might not have been so pushed to do what I'm doing now. So thanks, Marty.
Yeah, wicked. Great. Thanks, Chris.
How about we go to you, Lucky?
Hey guys, how are you? Yeah, I'm Lucky. I'm first and foremost Heidi's brother, most importantly. And also I work at the Peninsula Hot Springs. I'm a gardener ecologist at the Hot Springs and have the pleasure to be dragged over and work with Marty as well. So I've got a background in putting on events and running stages, and a passion for showcasing live local music. And I've sort of ISO's been great. I've been really enjoying ISO. I've spent the last 2 years playing very little music, and I just had a daughter. I had a son 2 years ago, and I've just had another daughter now, and I've just been smashing the music. Been in the studio every second night, and I'm about to put an entry into the Triple J Unearthed competition, which is taking a few stems from some other artists and producing a song using some of their tracks. I've used some beats from G Flip and some vocals from Amy Shark and a few little things, and just wrote a song about ISO. It's called I Love ISO. But anyway, so I've just been sort of had my finger in a few pies in amongst the industry, and really enjoying getting back to the part that I think I love the most, which is just being creative and actually writing music and making music again. And really stoked on some new knowledge in the studio and being able to pull some music together and record some music on my own. Had to with isolation, and I've got some great people on this panel. Brendan Malaire and Clarkey have done most of my recordings in the past with my band and solo stuff. So I'll never be as clean as you guys, but it's nice to be able to do it in my own time as well. So that's what I'm enjoying at the moment.
Just might speak a bit louder, Lucky. A few people can't hear you very well.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. Look, this will be recorded, and we'll be putting up on the a couple of different pages, so you feel free to jump back and have a listen.
I should say just too, Heidi, because you mentioned Jai before. I don't know if you're still online. How you going, Jai? But I've just that was one of the 3 projects I've been working on in the last few weeks. Is one of Jai's writings. It was a beautiful piece of writing that I've put to a real sort of piratey folk style song. So another thing I haven't done is sort of play other people's, write music for other people's words. So big up Guy, I'll get that track finished soon. we'll show some people.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think everyone's done a bit of a spiel. We've got Michael and Robin. Robin, do you want to do a bit of a spiel about yourself before we get started? Oh, I'll just bear with me. Hang on. Unmute you.
Bit of a novice at this. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Oh, great. Yeah, I'm Robin. I run Music on the Hill, which is a monthly or sometimes bi-monthly event for singer-songwriters and bands in Red Hill. I'm also a member of MP Music Network's committee, and also I keep in contact with Music Victoria. I help out with the regional representative at Music Victoria, so doing the awards and keeping in contact with a lot of regional people. Really missing the gigs, obviously, but really enjoying all the live streaming stuff that's going on.
Yeah, awesome. let's go to Clarky. We'll just skip through and yeah, we'll get going. We've got lots of questions.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on board. My name is Michael Clark. I'm a music producer and audio engineer and an educator. So yeah, ISO's of course taken away some of my gigs and it's moved my teaching work into an office, which is hilarious and fun and challenging, but also exciting. So yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having us. And yeah, let's kick this thing off.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, I'll start off. I'm just going to go through a few of the comments here. Now, I can see a few people sort of saying I'm lip reading lucky. I think he said $1,000 donation to everyone who's online. We've got Jai. Here he comes. I'm not sure what he was talking about, but Jai, Lucky did mention you in his description and how amazing you are and your writing. So Tyson, Jay, you all look great. Can you hear us, Tyson? So I just want to double check. Look, we're recording this. It will be online. So if you're having a few issues listening, this at the end of the day, this is a bit of an experiment for us. There's a few people that can hear us and there's a few people that can't. We've got here, look back on another okay, cool. Thanks, Mary. See ya. All right, we'll start off with a few questions. I'm just going to sort of go, yeah, obviously this is an open conversation. If you've got any questions in regards to the music industry, we really want to hear them. It could be to do with live streaming, starting up a recording studio, a home studio. It could be writing music, anything. Also, it could be just to say hi. We'd love to hear what you guys are up to during isolation. Obviously, it's difficult times for many of us, and also it can be amazing times because it can be time where we actually have time to be creative. So if you've got some projects on the go and you're really excited to tell us about your project, yeah, put your hand up and we'll hear it. We'll get you on board. So we might start with Chris. Got a bit of a question here for you. How have you tried to stay creative during this time? I'll just you're muted. You're unmuted. That's right. There you go.
First of all, great question, Heidi. Thanks. It's a good question because I started off when ISO started. It was almost like a bit of a godsend from the busy week and the crazy schedule that most of us musos run, playing gigs and trying to do stuff on the side to keep ourselves afloat. And as soon as ISO hit, I was like, this is great. I'm going to just get so much stuff done. I'm going to record this and then I'm going to learn this song. And then it was awesome at the beginning. And then it started, and then the snowball effect kind of got lost and your motivation kind of starts to go away. And you've really got to, I felt almost forced to try and keep myself creative, which if anyone is a creative person out there knows that that's like the one way to kill it. So a few things that I've been doing and something that works really well for me, if you're feeling the same way, like if you've trying to write a song and you're sitting down with your instrument and you're going, all right, magic, or you're waiting for a lightning bolt to strike you. I find to distract yourself with other stuff really good. And you let the creative process kind of churn in the background. So if it's gardening or if it's painting or if it's another creative project that's got nothing to do with music, if it's reading, just something else that kind of stimulates your brain, and you'll find that you have a little bit more of that snowball momentum effect with your creativity. And again, this is not like scientific method. This is just what's kind of worked for me. Another thing is I always find that whenever you're trying to force out a song or creativity, putting it in the background and letting it kind of work while other things happen in the foreground is a really great way to help engage it or initiate it. I've written down some notes. So going into a studio and trying to record some demos of stuff that you've already written can be a really great way to, help stimulate your creativity. Even if you've got a list of covers that you want to learn, just to help you get a little bit of, get inspired. I always know that whenever I'm playing, I'm a guitarist, sort of as my first instrument. And whenever I learn a new song, I always feel like a strike of creativity in something that I'm writing. So it's always a really good thing to do. Watching like a music doco is always really good too. It's always great to see how the pros did it, which is always good. I watched a music doco on backing vocalists through the 70s and the 80s, which was awesome just to see, you know, their lifestyle and hear how amazing they are. It was really inspiring. And yeah, my biggest thing is kind of just distracting myself so that it can re-engage, because as soon as you try to force it, it just clams up. But I'm sure everyone has their own, you know, trials and tribulations with being creative.
I'm just playing around with the sound here, trying to get it right. Cool, Chris. It's really good to hear, you know, other musicians' way of being inspired and getting creative, because we all have our own different ways of doing it. I know that when I have all my family here, I cannot be creative. I've got too much focus on them. So, but I do know that sometimes if I'm in the shower, for example, I've got space to myself, that's where all the songwriting happens. So I literally have a shower, I jump out and I write these words down, and songs come from that. So that's my little...
It can strike at some stupid times, can't it?
Yeah, in the middle of the night,
yeah,
when you wake up and you've had a crazy dream and you think, oh, I could turn that into a song. Yeah, that's right.
Even sifting through your voice memos, like if you write a lot, sort of off the cuff, and you get into the habit of just recording ideas on your phone, like I've got hundreds of voice memos that I sift through maybe once every 3 months or so. And so sifting through them, if you're that kind of person, can just remind you of ideas that you've had in the past. It can help inspire you. That's another good one that I've been using during this time.
Cool. Well, I'm just reading through I'm listening to everyone. I'm just reading through the comments as well. We might move on. Thanks, Chris, for that. We might actually move on to Brendan, who's another creative. And I know that you've recently let out a video that's pretty amazing that everyone's been commenting on. Lots of different parts of the songs being filmed in separate sections. We've pulled the whole thing together. So I guess you could talk about that and other things that you've done during this time to be creative.
Yeah.
And how you've done it. We'd love to hear how you do it.
It's not like too complicated. I didn't want to put... Okay, so for starters, obviously trying to get a drummer to turn around and record a full track, you know, setting up all those kind of mics and stuff like that was kind of just a no-go zone. Like Callan, the drummer for Midwayers, and Spud Thompson, if he's recording drums, we're either going to Clarkey here, or he's coming to my little home studio and recording here. So we kind of accepted that challenge, and we're just like, oh, you know, just record it on your phone. I'll do the stomp while I'm playing acoustic, and you just get your snare going. Surely it'll sound great on a phone microphone, surely. We were actually like stoked. Michael actually was the one that mixed it, and he had to deal with so much, just like, you know, distorting microphones, and you know, you've got people that come to you and you record together always here, but we all pulled it together and did an awesome job, and we're all out of our comfort zones. But I guess to start with, I recorded myself doing the acoustic and the stomp, so everyone else had something to play along to. And then once they'd all laid their parts, I actually redid mine, because I wanted to vibe along to them instead of, you know, being the lead vocals. You kind of want it to vibe. So I just went for that. There wasn't too much else to do with it. Like, it was just rip the audio from each other's videos and then put it in some software, and I created a bit of a mix to send to Michael, and then, you know, so he got an idea of what kind of vibe we wanted for that track. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy that kind of stuff. I mean, before being a musician or a singer, or I play a lot of different instruments now. I never did. I've always been more into technology, video games, computers, all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting because a lot of my friends are very organic, beautiful human musicians, into, you know, realism and all that kind of stuff. Whereas I'm kind of the polar opposite. Like, I like everything. I'll just use a computer to make everything sound as good as possible. I don't have the patience to move a microphone around 20 times before I get it right. But this challenge was awesome to try and do that. And it's opened my eyes to being able to do it a lot more too, because I get kind of lazy, as you know, most creatives do when you lose those juices. I got 2 little kids here. I work full time, so it's very hard to really, you know, find the time to be creative. So I've got 80-something songs sitting there ready to be, you know, produced and recorded, but you just pluck one every now and then and go, right, I'm gonna go for that one this time. And yeah, that song that we did was actually one that I've had for a while. We're gonna do it with the Midwayers, but we never ended up really progressing to anything with it. We did do a version of it that was just acoustic, and then brought it to the Spud Thompson prac because we needed one more song for a gig, and then that's what came out.
We might interrupt you there. We've got a heap of questions coming through, and I'm going to read them out and just see if anybody can answer them. So Lee here, he's saying, look, we've got 5 visitors allowed at home now, and who's already organised to have play days with their band, or during the time when we haven't been able to bring everyone together, what kind of strategies has everyone had to kind of keep that rehearsal going, I guess? I mean, a lot of people probably just scrapped the whole idea of rehearsing and thought, we'll just figure this out when this all comes back, when life comes back to normal. But is there anyone out there that's in a band? I'm thinking maybe you, Brendan or Lucky, who has sort of tried to keep rehearsal going. Have you guys sort of done any of that? I'll just check.
Chat?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I've kept in touch with the band. I mean, we have a messenger, obviously, Moona Rip messenger. And we've been a bit slow in the last 2 years anyway, but we've got some tracks on the go. I just mixed one the other day. But I think there's always a way to keep building yourself as a band, whether it is just listening to music and sharing some favourite music and favourite tracks, or like I'll sort of say to the guys sometimes, share some music with me that you feel like Moona is, like that we're similar to, or how you would see our band sort of going, or the kind of music you see us playing and what we want to be doing, you know, and just talking music, you know. And I've also, a couple of other guys aren't as set up as I am, but sharing recording. So I'm lucky because I started getting into recording, and I've been tracking all our rehearsals. So I've just got all this recordings of as rough as it can be, or the writing process, or rehearsing a song we've been working on for a few months now, or whatever. But I've got all this material, this stuff that I can work on now. So it's all in Ableton. I use Ableton. And so COVID came around, and I just had all this music that I hadn't really had a chance to sift through. So there's one thing I would say to people is, wherever you can, and Brendan touched on it too with his phone and that, it doesn't really matter about the recording quality, but just getting stuff down when you're recording and singing. And even if you write a song and you just record it in, as rough as it is, straight away, so it's all there. And I find that, like, listening to it for 24 hours just over and over, and then you get back in your room and you play it all again, and it's twice as good and twice as tight. And that process of like recording, as rough as it is, and just listening, and when you get back in the room or the studio, it's just like everything just seems to be so much tighter, you know. There's always methods and ways, obviously, as you know, like the guys, you said fake it till you make it earlier as well. And what I like try to say to tell people is, like, in a sense, you have made it, you know, like what is making it anyway? There's always somewhere bigger or better to be. So I sort of, people need to realize that you have made it. You're a musician. You know, Chris, Brendan, you guys are musicians. That's what you do. And we have other little jobs and that, but yeah, it's not all about, you know, it doesn't need to be a massive income stream for you to be professional or to be doing music like that. So yeah, there's sort of so many ways that you can keep in your music and learn recording. Shit, I didn't do it for 10 plus years of playing music, and I've just found, you know, my mind's gone, because now I can capture things and improve on things, hear myself back and go, that sucks and that's good, and that, you know, and just work out where you want to be, what you want to be doing, how you want it to be sounding. Yeah.
I think I'll just step in the songwriting side of things. I think you know, I studied songwriting at university, and one of the most important things that we had to do was listen to other music, and also not exactly steal other music, but listen to what we really liked and what we connected with, take a song and pull it apart, and then create a song from that. So
it's a great idea.
If you want to write a song and you don't know where to start by listening. Put on your favorite couple of songs on Spotify or iTunes or whatever and have a listen. Really get in the moment. Find out what you like about that song, whether it's the melody or the words or so forth, and start from there. I think that's my advice as a songwriter.
I took some of Jai's words and wrote a song to it. I looked at this Triple J Unearthed comp. It's not like, I'm not a music competitor. I don't like music and competition. You know, it's not footy, it's music, and it's in the, you know, it's such a personal opinion music, and people might hate something that's great, but it's not their style, you know. But I wrote some music to some of Jai's writing, and I've pursued this little Unearth thing because there are other avenues. I can't catch up with everyone. I can't rehearse. I can't do the normal stuff. So I've kind of just opened my mind up a little bit and gone, I want to do this, grab some stems and try and produce a song around these stems, just cause. I don't care about competition or anything, but it's fun to just do it, enter it in. If anything, I've come out of it with all these new recording skills, and that's all I wanted from it. So
what Lucky's talking about at the moment is there is a competition that Triple J Unearthed is running, where they've got a bunch of artists loops, I guess, is that the word?
Loops and stems and bits of recordings that they've offered to use.
Yep, you can download them and then create a song from it. It's a competition that Triple J Unearthed is using. I guess it's for people to stay creative and be able to do stuff from home. But at the end of the day, we might go to Michael, sorry. And because we've got a few questions here, just, you know, your basic setup. Let's say we've got a musician who's been really creative, has pulled this set list together. They want to get out playing live, and we'll go to Robin as well for this too. We'll just start with Michael first. Just maybe some basic equipment that's needed to get you out gigging. And then we'll go to Robin, and maybe you can discuss about, you know, how do we approach venues to get live gigs. So once this is all over, and we can go back out and start applying for gigs again. So
Yeah, no worries, Heidi. And yeah, Clarky, Michael, whatever, it's fine, all good. We're all friends here, no worries. Yeah, too easy. So I guess, you know, if it's all about what equipment we need to obtain gigs, or for gigging, you know, you shouldn't really need your own equipment once venues are up and running. So that's an easy one. But for busking and other stuff, of course, keep it simple, keep it cheap. An SM58, you know, is a cheap microphone, and it's a classic. It's been used on every, you know, third hit record that came out up until probably, you know, the 90s and beyond. So that's it. Never spend more than what you can afford. In terms of a home setup for recording, so I'd imagine a lot of people, thinking about, you know, isolation might have made people think about recording themselves. So again, this is, you know, something that I wouldn't waste too much money, especially as a beginner. You know, you walk into a consumer audio store or a, you know, semi-pro audio store, and you could walk out of there having spent 10,000 on rubbish. So yeah, don't go and blow all your cash. You know, it's like if it's your first setup, get a cheap dynamic microphone, and as I said, a Shure SM58 you'll keep for life. If it's for live, if it's for the studio, go the 57 because it's way cooler. But yeah, so that's your microphone. There's 180 bucks tops, who knows, 130 on the used market. And then if you're recording, you just need an interface to get into the computer. So again, there's cheap options. You know, I use Universal Audio. That's a little higher, you know, in terms of its price tag. So they do their Arrow, which is under $1,000. But yeah, Focusrite do some cheap interfaces. Behringer, you know, there's all these brands out there. So you can get an initial setup if you've got a computer. You know, $500 should get you set up at home. You know,
So,
cheap
so
headphones.
Michael, I'll just
Okay.
jump in there just to explain what an interface is. It's really to be able to transform the music you're playing into a format that the computer can read. So, obviously, you can get these USB plug-in mics that you can use for live streaming. But if you can get an interface, it just means you can plug more instruments in. So if you're looking for an interface, I know you listen to Michael and what he's saying. He's suggested a few, but jump online and have a look at different interfaces. Most of them do the same sort of thing. It's just changing that format. Yeah.
Most important thing is to not waste too much money if you don't know what you're doing yet with it. You know, it's like I could give you a $10,000 microphone, but if you don't know where to put it, then what's the point, you know? Whereas, get something to get set up and learn it. You know, learn that 58, 57, learn how it works on your voice or your instrument, learn how your room sounds, etc. And then build it from there. You know, you can always sell equipment too. But, you know, definitely recommend. I know a lot of people have you know, started setting up at home, and it's the perfect time for it. You know, artists have to create, don't they? And if there's no gigs, you know, learn this stuff for yourself. If you get stuck on anything too, YouTube, you know, the information's out there. There's a wealth of knowledge. So, or phone a friend, you know, just even look at this chat. There's a bunch of people here that would know how to answer a million questions about how to set up a little recording setup at home. So, yeah.
Many venues these days do supply a PA system. So usually you just come in with your leads and your instrument and plug in. But it's always good to know how to create a good sound. So again, YouTube's great for that, looking at how to create a good sound. But then I guess also you need to be able to get the gig in the first place. So we might go to Robin, and maybe Robin, you can explain what you're a venue owner. You run Music on the Hill. Get some amazing acts in. What do you look for when you are booking artists?
Thanks, Heidi. Yeah, well, it's interesting now since yesterday's announcement or changes. There seems to be a lot more optimism around. So I'm receiving emails from artists just asking, you know, what's the situation? When do you think we're going to be opening again? And when are people going to be going out to gigs? So there's a lot of artists out there already hitting the ground running now. So I'd say before you contact venues, whether it's on the peninsula or anywhere in Australia, have your content all ready to go. So have some video content, you know, create a YouTube channel. Have your Bandcamp or your SoundCloud. There's nothing wrong with SoundCloud. I've heard people say it's old-fashioned. Nothing wrong with SoundCloud. Get your stuff out there. Have links and send all that to the venues so they've got something to look at. Don't just send an email saying I want a gig. I spend a lot of time looking at bands, and the first place I go to is YouTube. And when you create your YouTube content, keep it really simple, not a great big long introduction. Go straight into the music, pick your best piece of music. It doesn't have to be a perfect video shoot, but the audio needs to be pretty good. I was talking to Andrew Ortiz, who runs Queenscliff Music Festival recently, and he looks at like 200, 300 videos a week. So we're not going to spend a lot of time waiting for introductions. So yeah, so hit the ground running. Start sending stuff out as soon as you can. I was in contact with Music Victoria this week, and I don't think the social distancing rules are going to change till at least probably September, October, if all goes well. If there's no spikes, we can be looking at perhaps hopefully going to gigs in October, November. So we've postponed our gigs till November, just so everyone's got something to look forward to. At the moment, if social distancing stays and venues are allowed to open, it means that we can only have about 25%, 20% capacity, which for a venue like ours isn't worth doing. You know, we'd only have 25 people in there if everybody has to stand 1.5 meters apart. So I don't think that's going to happen soon. So yeah, but you know, keep writing, keep recording, you know, and then get in contact with the venues. Just, you know, contact them and say, hi, we're still here. I know down here we're not as lucky anymore with venues, but there's plenty of venues in Melbourne that are going to be it's going to be crazy. Everybody's going to go out to gigs, especially the first month or the first 6 weeks. All those bookings will have been booked fairly soon, so don't leave it to the last minute, I'd say.
Great advice, Robin. I might add to that. I just with content and sort of having something to present to get gigs. You know, when I personally started music professionally 5 or 6 years ago, I'd get the odd gig sort of once a month, and I'd look and really analyze other artists and see what they were doing, and I'd see that they always had a lot of content, and I thought, this is what I'm lacking. And even now I don't have time to go out and spend money to make content. But if you just let everything go and just be yourself and grab whatever you can. And I use this thing called 3 topics. So find 3 things that you find passionate or that you're passionate about. For example, you know, I'm passionate about the environment. I really love art, visual art. Well, there's 2 things I'll say. And I am a family person as well. Not that I add family to my content so much, but you know, you might do something quirky that's to do with the environment. You might go exploring and find something, so you capture that content. So every couple of days you're putting something online that's to do with the environment, and then maybe a day later you might put something on that's to do with visual arts, because they're my 2 passions. And eventually you start to gather this target audience that enjoy in the environment and visual arts, and then they get attracted to your music. So it's not always about just your music, it's about the other stuff that surrounds you. So if you feel like, oh, you know, I'm lacking content, just grab whatever you can, get out and about, and whenever you're playing a gig, always go to the audience, say, hey, can you, if you've got a friend there, just film the next few songs for me. Grab everything you can. It doesn't have to be perfect quality. I've never put money into my music ever. This is the first year I had planned to put money into my music, but unfortunately COVID-19's taken over and I haven't had a chance to get in the studio. But I think, you know, putting a bit of money into a really good quality recording is very important. But also if you can gather if it's just live gigging, if that's all you're after, it's all about, just gathering whatever content you can on yourself.
The other thing, Heidi, the other thing that I've noticed that's happened in the last month or so is artists are putting content on, which isn't just content. They're putting stuff, you know, like you say, art. I saw today Stella Donnelly posted dozens of photographs of birds. She was out walking. Absolutely nothing to do with music whatsoever, but put stuff up that engages people. You know, and put your personality out there. And a lot of artists are doing that now. Artists that in the past were a bit of a brand, and had management telling them, you know, we don't want to see the real you. That's all changed now. Artists are sort of bearing their souls online, and I think it's a great thing.
Absolutely. I mean, Rob and I are part of the MP Music Network, and I guess on a weekly basis before coronavirus hit, we were getting about 10 emails a week, probably more actually, from musicians just pumping in their content. Can you get us a gig? And we're sort of like, no, we're just about networking. We can add you to our database, but you know, you have to get out there and get it yourself. You've got to do all the work. We can't just find the gigs for you. But just looking at all this different content and all these different people jumping in, really, it's just about being yourself, having some, and the things that I'm attracted to as a punter or as a music lover is the other things that surround the music. I mean, I love music, but if you haven't got a great personality, if you're not opening up, then I'm going to get bored eventually. So that's me. Everyone's a little bit different. Other people really enjoy a great guitar solo. I'm a lyric person. I love a story. So I guess find what is really special to you. What do you enjoy? What you're passionate about? If it's about writing really good stories, then I want you to think about what kind of audience and what kind of people are going to enjoy a good story, and what kind of music does that associate to? Does it associate to heavy metal, or does it associate to country music? You know, have a real good look into different styles of music, and again, listen to other music as well to get an idea. You know, find your 3 favorite artists, go onto their social media pages. What are they doing? And copy it. You know, what are they doing? And copy it. Not exactly, you know, they're posting that post, so you do that post, but what kind of theme have they got? What color theme, images, filters on their photos. So, but we might move forward, and we haven't really had Marty talk much yet. So I'd love to hear Marty. I'm just going to unmute him. So Marty, you can just talk. You can just say whatever you like. Everyone knows you here on the Mornington Peninsula. So
Hey Heidi, I really I like being here. I like community, and I've never been one to really do too much on my own. I hear what you're saying loud and clear, Robin, and really feel it's a great opportunity to be bearing your soul, and the house gig revolution, you know, from 2 to 3 years ago, at least was a flag waved to the general public who are tired of machine factory produced music, you know, and well before any nasty viruses were around, there was this big question mark over the industry. So we've had our income taken away by streaming and by you know, massive record companies or online record companies or clouds or whatever. So as artists, we've been forced to go back to the center, check in with why we're doing what we're doing. And so for me, the last 7 or 8 weeks has really been, I resisted it for the first couple of weeks, and then I, you know, bouncing around with fear and love, and going, well, where do I sit with this? And man, we live, as you said, Chris, really busy lives. And oh my goodness, I didn't have any time to be towards the end there before this all stopped, to be the songwriter or the artist that I you know, I wanted to be. I was helping everyone else, but it was a job, and I love it. And I still really love bringing people together. But what I've learned most in the last, if that's what I can bring to the discussion tonight, is staying, no, not staying true. Just, it's been so important for me to dig deep and just to go, what am I doing this for? You know, it's not about money. I think it's about being in touch with the essence of who it is to be a Marty Williams musician, with the stories that I've gathered over the last 20 years and the songs that have come up through having family and growing up on the peninsula, and I don't like playing on my own. Robin knows, he's probably seen me. I've done 1 or 2 solo gigs in my life, maybe, and I reckon he might have been at both of them. I don't play on my own much at all. So this has been 7 or 8 weeks of going, okay. I talked to my brother on the phone from Cousin Leonard, and we got this idea about doing something around the world, but I haven't really done too much with anyone else. So I've been going, this regular live stream gig has been beautiful. It's been a real eye-opener. I've got inside my songs again and started working on some new ideas. And as we've all pointed out, we're really connecting directly to an audience that is, like you said, 50, 60, 100 people are there in a half an hour window tuning in and giving you personal feedback and affirming that that you're on the right track. It's like, wow, this is amazing. So I'm learning lots. I'm just resorted to, I had a look at using streaming mediums and stuff, and in the end just went to my daughter's fancy iPhone because that has the best picture and the best sound, and it's most reliable. And just not wanting to get lost in technology, and just try and be present. And sorry, that's just a little rant about where I've been in the last couple of months. Yeah. But I think it's really important to be the truest artists we can be right now, because we are going to, as you said, Robin, going to come out of it really with a public that's really hungry to connect and to see the arts in the real world,
I think, talking about technology, the thing that I have a fear for is technology. I don't like to put all my trust into it. So when I did my first live video, the anxiety was so heavy because I thought, don't let me down, technology. It wasn't about me letting myself down. It was the technology and the internet and everything that goes with it. And then you see other artists that do it so well, and you're like, how are they doing it? I want to know their secret. At the end of the day, when it comes to performing and entertainment, forget the technology and just be yourself, and people will connect.
Keep it simple.
That's right.
Like Clarky said, yep.
Yep. On the other hand, a DJ, DJs are really creative as well, because they're pulling all this stuff together and they're mixing their own stuff. So at the end of the day, again, you just go with what you're feeling at the time and you put in and so forth. I'm just trying to connect with not just authentic, organic artists or grassroots artists. So
I think we've got a chance to build an audience, right? That and we're not charging them for it. So I've got friends that are not playing, and it's that whole, like, people should be paying for what we're doing. So those of us that are playing live and putting it out there live are going, well, you know what? We got a chance to build an audience, to connect with the people that love what we do. That's more important to me right now. We'll work out the money later, and the rest will come. We just got to trust that we're on the right path,
Yep. Look, we've got about 10 minutes left because we've got Soundbar Live, which every Tuesday night, Soundbar Live page group puts on live music. So I don't want to take over their time. I just wanted to sort of jump in a few other people, Brendan, Lucky, Chris. If we're an artist who's never really played many gigs, where would we start? Let's say we've got a song or a set list, but we're not too confident. I mean, my suggestion would be to go to the open mics, like Soundbar Live. I'd be message them saying, this is the perfect time, let's live stream, even if it's not plugged in and it's just from my mobile phone. This is a great start. That's my opinion. So maybe we'll go to you, Lucky, first, and then I might get Chris to just talk about Balnarring Muso Night too. Where did you start when you first started playing live music?
Yeah, well, I'm another one of those people, and I mean, I won't bang on about it, Marty, you bloody legend, but but it is crazy, like I say to people sometimes, you can have one person. So Marty came in on the scene and he ran an open mic at Baha's, which is over on the Southern Peninsula, and he ran every other week. He ran it at Balnarring in the hall there. And so that's sort of like another whole, I won't, you know, we're all one people, but a couple of big, totally different communities, really. So a really good opportunity to be exposed to two big communities. And I always say, one person, you know, Marty, you came in and you as one person can single-handedly kind of change the whole scene, the vibe and what's going on and the opportunities for people. If you don't get to stand up and have a crack, you're never going to get a gig. You have to start with open mics. You have to start, you don't, it doesn't matter how good you are in your bedroom either, you know, you can be so good, but don't expect that, you know, I'm too good to have to go and play for free. You know, you go out and you trial your music and you trial it in front of people. And sometimes you find some of your songs do not resonate with people. Might be your favorite song even too, but, you know, being out there and busking or playing at an open mic or taking on that opportunity and just getting up and giving it a go will give you a really good idea of where you sit amongst all the other artists and where you are in the on the ladder there, because I think you do have to work for a gig, and I think you've got to put in the hours and you've got to put in the time, and some people just want 100 gigs without really trying, you know, and it's a bit of a hard slog. I'm going on a little bit. I've never been a content creator. I suck at it. I'm very organic, to be honest. You know, like I'm one of those guys who goes and sits on the beach and plays guitar and, you know, and comes home, and I hadn't spent a lot of time in studios, or I'm just a gigger, mad gig. And so I've got a lot of live experience, and now going into this content creation part, which I think is really important. And I think Robin hit the nail on the head. I've got a business called the Bandwagon Agency, which books live music. And I mean, how can I, when say a client, a venue contacts me and says, we're looking to fill all these positions for musicians to come in there, how can I give them a musician that I have no idea what they really sound like? I mean, I'll lose my job, I'll lose my contract. And Robin will be in the same sort of boat, and people are in the same boat. So absolutely can't be booked without having some sort of idea, even if it's a rough recording, some sort of idea of what you're actually booking. So don't even think about approaching anyone without some sort of content, even if it's a photo and a bio and experience of a few gigs you've played. Even if you haven't got online content and stuff, I know it's harder for some people than others, you know. So and I think keeping it raw is really good, and don't polish it too much. So important. I think you know, this live streaming that's been happening at the moment. I've been watching a couple of my favorite artists, Will Varley, and, you know, I'm a massive John Butler fan, and he's been posting stuff up, and he sits down and goes, oh, I'm just going to muck around here and have a crack, you know, and he makes all these mistakes. And anybody who knows John Butler is really good musician, like really tight musician, and doesn't hit a bung note often. But it's just so humbling to see some of these artists playing online and making some of the mistakes that you make in your room and when you play, and it just makes you feel like you know, like you're an artist like the rest of them, you know. And we all have the really nice, polished, crisp music, and we all release some stuff that's a bit scummy, and we're just having a crack, and it brings out the personality in people. I love what you said, Heidi, Robin, you know, about being the person, being a character, telling a story. The music can be rough and things like that. People follow the whole package now, you know. They like the person and who they are and what they're into, and their, you know, their other interests and hobbies, and which usually end up being in the lyrics you write and things like that as well. But, you know, you're a real person, so it doesn't have to be you know, a real shallow, like, here's my music, don't worry about me kind of thing. It's quite a personal, throwing all your heart, love, energy into songs. So you may as well show all that love and what you have love for and what you care for, what you care about, and people, environment, culture, and all these things, whatever you're into, you know, just sort of showing yourself as a person, and the music comes with it. And so some people are really aiming high too. I mean, I'm in a place now where I'm not interested in, same as you, Marty, you know, fortune or fame, or they're not the reasons I'm doing it. big question to ask yourself is, what is my goal? Some people think their goal is to be this big famous person. And I know a lot of people who have that goal, and I know that those are the kinds of people, if they ever got there, they would be terrible at it and the pressure would destroy their life, you know? So it's really important. People always say to you, like, what are you doing? Where are you? How many likes you got? What are you doing now? What are you releasing? And it's okay to just be a humble musician and just give a few things a crack, and don't take it all too seriously, and just be yourself, play music, and the things that can come from the payments and that are just bonuses.
There will be artists here watching today just thinking that's really what they want to do. They want to travel the world. They want to make money. Everyone, I guess, has their own pathway. And, you know I had that pathway till about 5 or 6 years ago, until I finished my music degree, really. I went to Col Arts in Melbourne thinking I might become famous after this degree. You know, that's how I went in. And then it really hit me like, holy shit, no, hang on a second. This is not the case. But it really made me find who I was, and as a songwriter, and who I was. And I think as a musician, if that's what you're thriving to be, rich and famous, then you know that
probably in it for the wrong reason.
That is a goal for you, but there's little steps that you need to take in between.
Like don't start there. Don't start there.
Yeah, that's right.
Start at rich and famous, you know, just
yeah.
but I just
we've got Soundbar Live starting in like a minute. I don't want to take up their time. I might just jump. Maybe I'll unmute Brendan and Chris, and you can have a bit of a conversation here. You know, Chris, you run Balnarring Muso Night, and Brendan, obviously, I've known Brendan since I was 12 or something like that. We've done school musicals together. We've gone for full journeys, and I've watched him grow, and he's watched me grow. And obviously, Chris, I haven't known you for very long, but you're the Balnarring Muso Night guy. So tell us about that, because I'm sure you're looking for musicians. So
yeah, totally. Sorry if you just hear my dog going off in the background there. So I co-run Balnarring Muso Night with Mr. Stuart Miller. I can't take all the credit because he does just as much work, if not more, than I do. So he's a big part of making the gears turn, along with all the people like Jenny and Bob and Gus and Andy. People who've come to Balnarring Muso Night will know their names because there's a big sort of family there that help the wheels turn. But if you, like Lucky was saying, if you want to get up and try your stuff out, things like an open mic nights are the best. It's where I started performing, and the first time I performed, I still remember it. I was crapping myself. I was so nervous, and it was probably really bad. I don't remember how it sounded, but the thing was that I did it, and then I thought to myself, I just want to go and do it. I want to do it again. And and like you guys were saying about the whole journey, I was just obsessed with like, I got to do that again. I got to make that better.
Yeah.
And I just got to hone my craft, and still completely obsessed with that, you know, with having my band and playing gigs. Playing gigs is like number one for me. It's the most fun I could ever have. I'd hate to go against the grain. I would love to travel the world and just play gigs. Not for the money, just for the pure enjoyment of, you know, giving music to people. That's what you do when you play a gig. You know, you got to play the game, I guess, a little bit. You've got to do the marketing, and you've got to do the, you know, social media side of things. But I guess, you know, for me as a person and other people out there, going to an open mic night is the way to kind of start that journey. And the Balnarring Muso Night are running Zoom open mic nights, much like this, and we just kind of scroll between screens and you get a slot. And it's really great. So jump on the Balnarring Muso Night open mic night page and just get in contact and say, hey, I want to play. And when this is all over, I reckon we're going to have a enormous jam there. I think it's going to be really fun. So I won't take up too much time.
What about like, hey, Brendan or even Michael, you know, what if you're a musician, you're a singer, but you don't know how to play an instrument? And obviously going to an open mic night, you can't just get up and play a guitar. Where would you start there? Like, you really want to get out there and play, but you don't have you don't know how to play an instrument. How do you find someone? Or, you know, I don't know if
Jump on best start networking. Jump on Facebook. There's so many pages. I'd imagine there's a heap of Mornington Peninsula musos pages out there.
Yeah.
So 100% start there. Go to your network of friends. You know, I have too many friends that play guitar. You know, we need more drummers. So over to you, Brendan.
Bass players too.
Oh, it also depends on your age. Like I didn't start playing an instrument. Like, okay, I picked up a guitar and could play, you know, the typical bar chord structure in a pop punk song from about 17 years old till I was about 21. And then I had a housemate that had an out of tune guitar, and I picked it up, and he's like, oh, I don't know what tuning it was in. He was fiddling with something, and I just started fiddling with that. So I learned guitar in a tuning that I actually ended up making up myself by just tuning the notes until going, oh yeah, this sounds right. And then wrote a whole bunch of songs, and then actually Lucky got me to come and play at Baja with Nathan stuff. And that was the first time I'd ever done any form of instrument, like really songwriting instruments and stuff like that. But starting out, like, it's different for everybody. I mean, I was a full-blown metalhead screaming pop punk guy with Clarky when we were younger, and you know, he was a shredding guitarist and I couldn't play an instrument. So we went and played, you know, all these crazy concerts. Like we went and played at the Hells Angels clubhouse once, and you know, like, just and that is not me as a person now. I wasn't really that kind of person then. I didn't know who I was, you know, 18 years old. But
yeah, I was
fantastic. They're just, you know, where you should be going if you want to meet musicians, you want to play, you want to, you know, just give it a crack. But for me, I probably had quite an unorthodox way of growing up in music. I was an actor before anything else, and then really didn't enjoy it. So went more into music, and then I didn't really fit in very many places, but you find your niche. You know, like a lot of my friends now are younger than me, and they play at God's Kitchen and stuff, and they're quite pop orientated, and they're all fantastic. Like, not to put them down. It's not within my capabilities. I'm not a pop singer. I can't really pull it off. But I've got plenty of friends that are just these amazing, beautiful voices, and they go play with, I think it's 100% Entertainment, you know, at God's Kitchen, and they do a great job there. Like Lucky said, he runs Bandwagon, and you know, he had the best organic musicians I've ever heard on the peninsula. You know, it's just different everywhere. It's different for everybody. I don't think there is one way to do things. Like, you know, you guys have mentioned gigs on here. I'm not a gig guy. I actually get really down about gigs because, you know, we all have a little bit of, or some people have a little bit of self-consciousness within them. And for me, gigs, I walk away sometimes going, that was the worst. Why did I waste my time leaving my family to come and play this? And then sometimes you walk away from a gig going, that's what it's about. That's why I want to play gigs.
Yeah. I think too, Brendan, is like, Brendan's his own biggest critic as well. So you touched on it before when you record, you know, and you get everything in the computer, and you're one of those people that lines everything up and it does this really tight, really good production, you know. And I think Brendan's a bit like that live too, and you walk away at the end and you think of the couple of little bits you heard that weren't good, that no one picked up on.
I think that's a whole other conversation. I mean, I you know, again, I've played so many gigs that I've loved and hated. It's also the relationship you have with the venue too, which is a whole other conversation. Because sometimes you walk into a venue and you've worked so hard to prepare for that show, you come out with $0, and maybe money is not your thing, but for me, when I was studying at university full time, gigs was my only income, so I really relied on playing 3 gigs a weekend, which luckily I was able to do. But that would be like a 12-13 hour day of packing the car, playing the gig, packing the car, driving, playing a gig, and by the end of it, you're nearly dead physically. And I'm in tears, I'm crying, going, I can't do this anymore. And I've walked away with maybe $600-500, which is great for a day's work, but you don't count all the physical stuff and the stuff you put in beforehand and so forth. So I guess, yeah, that's a whole other topic, and hopefully we can have a few more conversations following this in regards to, relationships between venues and musicians. We can also talk about live streaming. I'd love to get really in depth with this. This was just a general conversation about lots of different things, but, if live streaming is something that you would really like to get a hang of, because obviously it's going to be something of the future from now on, let us know, because we'd be happy to bring you in on a chat. We might even do a few private chats like this and not live stream them, and talk about live streaming and, what you need to connect yourself and get yourself, viewers, and getting eyes and getting foot traffic on your music page. Maybe it's setting up a recording home studio. So yeah, if you've got any questions like that, or if you want to be part of this and get in the conversation, please let us know, let me know, because yeah, we'll have more conversations like this. But I think we'll leave it there, guys. I think we've covered a lot of topics. We're into Soundbar's live session. I don't want to interrupt that because they're doing wonderful things for us all. So thank you so much for jumping on board, Marty, Chris.
Thanks, Heidi.
Michael, Robin. You can
You're welcome. No worries.
Yeah.
Cheers, Heidi.
Thank you.
You didn't say, but that's fine.
Lucky.
Yeah. How could I forget you?
Can we all thank Lucky? 1, 2, 3. Thanks, Lucky.
Yeah, so I've recorded this session. I'm going to put it up on a few different places so anyone can listen in. But again, if we actually want to talk and discuss about what everyone else needs and what they want. There is a survey going around as well that the council's doing. They also have a big part of this arts and culture on the peninsula, Mornington Peninsula, and I'm lucky enough to be part of sort of looking after that area. So, I might share this survey. If you're a venue and you're struggling, please let us know, because there are ways that we might be able to help you keep up and running when all this is over. Anything, we can just help. We won't know unless you speak out. So, yeah,
Good on
that's
you,
it.
Heidi.